Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of games available today? You set aside an hour to play, but instead spend 69 minutes scrolling through your Steam library, only to get lost binging YouTube videos on the best video games from 2024. How did we get here? Emphasis on we because I used to experience this frequently myself, but don't fret. I won't allow this video to become another 69 minutes wasted on indecision. It's not quite long enough.
That's what she said!
By the end of this quest, you'll have sufficiently leveled up your gaming habits to rediscover that pure gaming joy of your youth. Speaking of youth, remember when gaming was simpler? I grew up on the Super Nintendo and would beg my parents for the newest games during Christmas and holidays. Other times of the year, I spent many a weekend hunting for hidden treasures in dusty old Kmart bins of used games or racing to Blockbuster to rent the hottest new releases since we typically couldn't afford to buy them. We cherished the few good games we owned, blowing into the cartridges like a magical flute to get them to work, playing them endlessly, sometimes in an attempt to beat them for the very first time. Some of those SNES games were brutal. You think Dark Souls is hard? At least you have weapons and armor and invincibility frames. Try surviving the harsh reality of the Indian jungle as a small, half-naked orphan armed with infinite fruits. Snakes and tigers don't give a f about your fruits. Choosing a game to play back then was as easy as picking your favorite Ninja Turtle. Mikey, bro, obviously. Now it's like trying to pick your favorite grain of sand on the beach, and every year there's a tsunami of new game releases, leaving us dazed and confused as to which ones to fit into our limited time budget. Just in the first half of 2024, we had Balatro, Animal Well, Destiny 2 expansion, Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Hades 2, Helldivers 2, Paper Mario remake, Persona 3 remake, Final Fantasy VII remake. Wait. Hold up. I'm starting to notice a trend here. Every single one of these, with the exception of the two that were made by one dude, are a sequel, remake, or DLC. Well, my dear Watson, it seems we've deduced the reason there are so many damn games. Case solved. Cancel the rest of the video. Except not, because forget just choosing a specific game to play. In 2026, you first have to select a platform. We got Apple Arcade, Amazon Luna, Nintendo Switch Online, PlayStation Plus, Game Pass, Netflix, Steam sales. And you might say, more video games equals more fun, am I right? Well, not so fast, Timmy. In fact, psychologists have long studied a phenomenon known as decision paralysis. Basically, a type of anxiety and inaction which is a consequence of consumer overchoice. Put simply, too many choice makes smooth brain hurt and small pee-pee no work. What? What do you mean that second one's just me? Damn it! Wife! You lied to me, wife!
Small pee-pee, go away.
No, Felix, please.
Small pee-pee, go away.
I just want to be part of the conversation. Decision paralysis makes our brains glitchy like Cyberpunk 2077 on release day. A classic example of this is known as the Jam experiment of 2000, which famously explored the topic of choice overload both in a laboratory setting as well as a physical grocery store. They had two booths set up, one with 6 types of jam and another with 24. And what they found was that although the more extensive selection initially attracted more customers, people presented with the limited selection of 6 jams were 10 times more likely to make a purchase. They tested it with chocolates and other stuff too, but the point was to debunk the notion that having more options is better. And this isn't just a theory, folks. It's a game! Science! It's science! Your beloved MatPat is gone forever. He abandoned you.
But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
Clearly, this isn't just true with jam and chocolate. In 2024, there were 18,924 new games released on Steam. 18,000 of those were adult games, so only 927 count. Just kidding. But that's just newly released titles, just on Steam. Which, to be fair, almost everything is released to Steam these days. And what if you're ancient like me and itching to play older games? Nintendo Switch Online alone has over 100 classic titles to choose from, and Nintendo doesn't have the best reputation of making it easy to play their old games. On PlayStation Plus, there are like 5 times that number. Gamers these days are presented with so many options, and many people online are expressing this sentiment of being overwhelmed with all those choices to the point where they simply don't play anything. Picture this, you've carved out that precious hour or two for gaming, but the pressure is on. What if you choose the wrong game? You're the one who picked Concord. I told you to play Ape Escape. What if you decide to play League of Legends with friends, but the match goes into overtime and then you get backdoored by a frickin' Teemo? You'll never get that time back. Teemo stole that hour of your life. And the pressure of choosing the right game or the potential of not enjoying the time you spend gaming leads you to not choosing at all. So instead of taking the risk, you end up binging YouTube or doom scrolling through Reddit, which gives you easier and more consistent access to the dopamine you so desperately seek. Back in my day, we used to cherish the games we owned like precious jewels, even the shitty Kmart ones. Now we hoard them like digital dragons, many of them never seeing the light of day, some for good reason. Imagine if games were like toys from Toy Story when they never get played with. Do you feel bad now? You should. How many times have you snagged like 15 games on a Steam sale just to go back and play Elden Ring again to try a new mod or a new build? Or even worse, to procrastinate launching even one of them because you're too busy watching a video about there being too many games? Remember when we had to judge a game by its box art? No reviews, no YouTube, just a gut feeling. And even if the game was bad, it made you appreciate the good ones even more. What's with all these damn sequels? I've been wanting to try this Monkey Man Planet of the Apes looking hot garbage, dude. So we've navigated the labyrinth of game releases and established there are an absurd number of games. Let's say you're able to pick one. You've conquered the first stage and defeated the Decision Paralysis boss. You gleefully skip over to your gaming device of choice as you shout into the void, "I'm gonna play Avowed because I like open world fantasy games." But now you face a new challenge as tragedy strikes. The game isn't what you expected. You don't enjoy your time with it. That hour is wasted. Time you'll literally never get back. And you're left with a lingering sense of disappointment. And you vow to avoid this experience in the future, seeing as how we hairless monkeys have such limited time to roam this giant rock spinning through space. How do we curate the nearly infinite potential into something we know we'll enjoy? Do you trust the algorithms on the various platforms to provide recommendations based on your interests? We saw you enjoy this game, how about playing these juicy games next? Hey, Steam, why are you recommending me all these adult games? I joked about them literally one time. Games are recommended based on player history and engagement. To make your decision easier, you can sift through 10,000 YouTubers, streamers, blog posts, or God forbid, gaming media outlets.
Are you two still living?
It's difficult to parse even the curated content, especially when many content creators have a vested interest in maintaining positive relationships with game developers, or their coverage is based on an agenda or ideology that has nothing to do with video games whatsoever. Consider the sheer number of game developers being paid to promote Raid Shadow Legends. By the way, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Just kidding, I'm not cool enough to be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Feels like everything these days is either the best game of all time. How could you not 100% this game? What the f is wrong with you? It's the Messiah sent to save the gaming industry before it even releases. Or, this is the worst, most broken, buggy, glitchy mess of a game of all time. This is an embarrassment to gaming. It dropped to 67 FPS twice. How dare you play this game and support this company? And this type of extremism drives clicks and engagement. The algorithm rewards this, pushing more and more extreme content to the top, which makes it incredibly difficult to get a balanced, nuanced opinion as to whether or not you'll actually enjoy a game. So what's the solution? Do you let your tastes guide you and try to play anything that conforms to those tastes? Do you form a specialized and trusted network of information from some combination of YouTubers, Steam reviews, Reddit threads, and Discord servers where you can cross-reference from multiple sources? Sounds like a lot of work, but perhaps it's worth it. But before you run off to attempt it, we have to discuss the third stage and the true final boss. Let's say we make it out of the Donkey Kong jungle of hype and hyperbole. You decide to craft a map of specialized content instead of blindly following the various algorithms and chart a course towards some promising game title treasures ready to brave the open sea. Stage 2 has been bested, but don't go celebrating too early, because now you gotta watch out for that. That right there is the FOMO Kraken, lurking beneath the sea of choices ready to sabotage your enjoyment. This creature isn't just terrifying, it's actually changing how games are designed. More on that in a minute. I reference FOMO in another video minus the Kraken, so if you like this one, go ahead and check that one out. The link is with the Kraken in the down below. If you see a submarine on the way down there, don't forget to smash it like I just smashed that dad joke. Ha! You didn't expect that one now, did ya, Timmy? Perhaps next time you can wish for clairvoyance instead of chocolate cake. Remind me to never do an accent again. But FOMO isn't just some annoying buzzword, it's a powerful psychological force that taps into some of our deepest human needs and fears. At its core, FOMO is fueled by social comparison. We see content creators or friends playing the latest game, showing off their exclusive skins, or talking about their gaming experiences, and we instinctively compare ourselves to them. This triggers an intense sense of loss aversion, or the tendency to perceive losses as more significant than gains of equal or even greater size. Gamers don't like to lose. In fact, we're wired to avoid losses, and in the context of gaming, that loss can be a limited time event, a unique item, or even just the shared experience of playing a popular game with the community. This is amplified by our innate desire for belonging. We want to be part of the group, to share in the conversation, to feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And game developers know this. It's become increasingly common for developers to deliberately design their games to exploit these vulnerabilities. Consider limited time events in Destiny 2 and Fortnite, or store rotations in Apex Legends and Fortnite, battle passes in Diablo 4 and Fortnite. These mechanics are carefully crafted to create a sense of urgency and scarcity, pushing us to play and often spend now or risk missing out forever. And there are now countless examples of games that employ these tactics, effectively weaponizing our own psychology against us. Game Maker's Toolkit has an excellent video that highlights how this works in Fortnite specifically.
Take the item shop. It could hold every single costume and emote that you can buy, but instead it just lists a handful of items and will refresh with new stock tomorrow. By limiting availability, Epic is hoping that if you see a skin you like, you'll be pressured into buying it now because who knows when it will appear again.
FOMO adds another layer of pressure to the already overwhelming decision of what to play. It intensifies analysis paralysis. When you're already struggling to choose between hundreds of games in your backlog and dozens of subscription services, the constant barrage of limited time offers and must-play hype around new releases makes the choice even more agonizing. You aren't just choosing a game, you're actively choosing to miss out on potentially dozens of others, and that feeling of loss can be surprisingly powerful, potentially leading to feelings of regret before you have even begun playing a game. This constant pressure to keep up can have a real impact on our enjoyment and even our mental health. Instead of savoring a single-player game at your own pace, you might feel rushed to finish it before the next big release just to be part of the online conversation. Or as I did, you might force yourself to grind through daily quests in a live service game even when you're not having fun, just to avoid missing out on limited time rewards. You might even feel guilty for playing an older game you love instead of the latest hyped up title everyone else is playing. What should be a source of relaxation and fun becomes another source of stress and anxiety.
Problem is that technology accesses these weird, deeper reptilian parts of our brain. Doom scroll, dopamine, fun, I don't feel good, cats.
Beyond the impact on player enjoyment and mental health, there's another less frequently discussed consequence. FOMO is fundamentally changing how games are designed. Limited time events, rotating item shops, battle passes, daily login rewards, all these features that I previously mentioned utilize a large amount of development resources, and in many cases detract from what should be the focus, the gameplay experience. I could see an argument to the contrary being made in the sense that game developers who use these tactics accumulate more resources and are therefore able to put more effort into the game. Let's say hypothetically that's true for something like Fortnite, but in most cases that certainly doesn't seem to reflect reality. Compare the complete self-contained experiences of many classic games to the often incomplete, intentionally segmented nature of modern live service titles. Or better yet, games being delivered as intentionally incomplete, but they certainly don't forget to implement the battle pass and microtransactions. In the past, in order to sell a successful game developers had to actually focus on providing the best gameplay experiences because players had comparatively limited financial resources. A new game was a significant investment. Today, many popular games are free to play, made cheaper through Steam sales, or available through subscription services like Game Pass. The competition is no longer initially for our wallets, but for our time and attention. And because developers understand basic human psychology, they know that by controlling our time, they can ultimately control our spending. This has led to to a fundamental shift in design priorities. The primary goal is often not to create the best game, but to create the most addictive and monetizable game, one that exploits our inherent vulnerabilities to keep us hooked. Game developers use clever tactics like daily or weekly deals in order to trap little smooth-brained monkey gamers into spending their hard-earned nickels on in-game content. It's the same tactic YouTubers and other business-savvy people use to get people to sign up for their courses with a limited time offer or 50% off the first week, etc. Think about the NFT boom during the pandemic. People dropped millions of dollars on digital pictures of monkeys due to their exclusivity and scarcity. Consider the weekly flavor rotation of crumble cookies. Interestingly similar to the rotating item shop in Fortnite, you say. Coincidence? I think not. It's the same principle behind limited time offers you see everywhere, from online courses to, yes, even the rotating flavors at your local cookie shop. Only in gaming, the stakes can be much higher and the temptation is always just a click away. In the same vein as the monkey NFTs, many modern games have become status games, or digital arenas where players compete not just for victory, but for social standing. It's an extension of the status games we play in the real world, where we flaunt our possessions, achievements, and fancy titles. In gaming, this manifests in countless ways. Exclusive cosmetic skins, high ranks in competitive play, rare in-game items. This drive for status can be directly fueled by FOMO. The fear of missing out on that limited edition skin, that exclusive rank, or that rare item pushes players to spend more time and money, chasing an often elusive sense of validation.
One 2-year-old has a cupcake and starts eating the cupcake. Cupcake's delicious. Another 2-year-old comes along and says, I want that cupcake.
I used to get made fun of as a kid because I wore New Balance instead of Nikes, but at least I was crushing scrubs on Neopets, and some things never change. Don't with this jub, bro. So how can we slay that FOMO Kraken for good? Perhaps it's not just about finding different games, but rather addressing the underlying psychological needs that make us vulnerable to FOMO in the first place.
The key antidote to FOMO is to actually be content yourself. So instead of just jumping in and doing what other people are doing, what is it about this activity that I am missing in my life? There's going to be some kind of internal value that you recognize as not being satisfied. It could be exploration, it could be a sense of growth, it could be a sense of connectedness.
I'm personally driven by this sense of growth that he describes here, which is why I've always been attracted to games like Final Fantasy, Diablo, World of Warcraft, RPGs where you're constantly making progress and advancing your character. And in a way, starting this YouTube channel was actually an attempt to fulfill that need. Dr. K mentions systematically creating opportunities to satisfy these core values in your life in as simple a way as possible outside of gaming as a solution to FOMO. This could be pursuing a creative hobby, spending more time with loved ones, or the example he mentions is taking occasional weekend trips to satisfy a need for exploration. Contentment, or what I would consider meaning, comes from this progress towards core values. By addressing these deeper needs, we become less reliant on external validation and less susceptible to the fear of missing out. Consider for a moment a game like Outer Wilds. It came out 7 years ago and it's still a masterpiece. You can play it today, next year, or even 10 years from now, and the experience will be just as rewarding. There are no limited time events, no rotating item shop, no battle pass. The joy comes from exploration, discovery, and unraveling the game's mysteries at your own pace. And there are many other games out there that can provide a similar level of experience just around the corner. So we've battled through the labyrinth of game releases, beheaded the Decision Paralysis Hydra, traversed the jungle of content curation, and even slain the dreaded FOMO Kraken. We've finished the quest and arrived at a simple truth. Yes, there are too many video games. But that abundance isn't necessarily a curse. On the contrary, I'd consider it a testament to the growth and vibrancy of this wonderful medium. Out of the nearly 19,000 games released on Steam, a large portion belongs in the bargain bins at Kmart. But for every Concord or Redfall, we also got games like Balatro, Animal Well, Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Metaphor ReFantasio, or, more recently in 2025, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, just to name a few. And we can ease the burden placed on our primitive monkey brains from the sheer abundance of options by developing a battle plan for navigating the modern gaming landscape. Overcome decision paralysis by developing a system of game selection. For example, you can randomly select 3 games from your library and set up a new Play Next list, similar to how the recommendation algorithms work on platforms like Steam. Alternatively, you could try setting a few criteria like genre, game length, etc., and play the first game that satisfies all those criteria. You can escape the clutches of content algorithms algorithms and build your own trusted network of information through some combination of specialized content creators, subreddits, or game-specific Discord servers. Most importantly, you can defeat FOMO by focusing on fulfilling your core values outside of gaming, making you less susceptible to external pressures and allowing you to rediscover the joy of exploration, discovery, connection, and growth. By mastering these 3 areas, you'll have sufficiently leveled up and be better equipped to navigate the modern gaming landscape and play games that fit your tastes without being influenced by predatory business practices. Let me know in the comments what game you decide to play next or any additional tips you might have. I anticipate that 2026 is the year that we exceed well over 20,000 newly released titles on Steam, and I'm ready to ride that wave of newly released titles to find another Crab's Treasure or whatever other game washes ashore and looks interesting. Just let me finish this 3rd playthrough of Elden Ring real quick. Oh, and apparently there's this mod on Terraria called Calamity that I wanted to check out. You guys want to play WoW? The new expansion's dropping pretty soon. Actually, we should probably hop on Helldivers 3. I already pre-ordered the Battle Pass.